for all the work that they put into making these events possible for all of us to learn. One housekeeping item that I do want to mention tonight, this session is being recorded. Just want to make you aware of that so that we can share the file with anyone who wasn't able to attend tonight. Next, I want to thank our sponsor, Davis Cartage. They're the sole sponsor of our Shiawassee County e-commerce series. We certainly appreciate their support for making these events happen, and so that we can hear from phenomenal entrepreneurs in the Shiawassee region. And so next, I'd like to invite Kevin Nevison, Vice President of Sales for Davis Cartage, to say a few words. Kevin?
Thank you. Hello, I'm Kevin Nevison with Davis Cartage Company. We're a locally owned transportation and warehousing company. We have warehouse facilities in Corunna, Owasso, Lansing, Michigan, and Niles, Michigan, just outside of South Bend. We also have a new facility we're opening up in Bridgeport, Michigan. So locally, we provide trucking, small shipments or large shipments. With our warehouse space, we can help large and small manufacturers that are outgrowing their current space. We can provide multi-client solutions or the full building. So we're here to help with any type of logistics as far as moving products into your facilities or to your customers. But we'd like to thank SCDP for hosting this event and including us. Looking forward to this evening's presentation. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Kevin, and thank you to Davis Cartage. So tonight, we get to hear about the Lockhart story, and that's really about the evolution of selling product, using social media and marketing strategies, as well as some insight into personal struggles as far as managing a family, but also a successful business and recruiting and developing team members all at the same time. And so with that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Steve and Nichole Lockhart, owners of Lockhart's Authentic.
Hello. So we are parents of 2 children, so we've had to write down quite a bit just to make sure that we got most of the story in here. So we're gonna do a little bit of reading first, and then we'll kind of go off the cuff. So yeah, we want to make sure that if anybody has any questions, they get answered before we leave today. I want to thank you guys so much for coming. I want to introduce Trisha. She's been with us for 3 years. John asked her what she does here, and she said she does a little bit of everything, and that couldn't be further from, I don't want to say that couldn't be further from the truth. That's super truthful.
She manages the inventory. She does the final stage in production. She makes sure all the products are ready to go out the door. And she's the one that keeps, me and John are the ones that, so I do a lot of the muscle here. I create the product, that sort of stuff. And John's the one that's got to finish packaging up and get it sent out, but she's the one that keeps our heads screwed on tight, because both me and John were at left brain, where we can kind of get out there. We're the creative types. And so that's why, we created all this stuff, but without having somebody that's got like a solid head on their shoulders to keep us focused and moving forward, we would be a disaster. So that's really what Trisha does here. She keeps us in check.
For those of you who are unfamiliar of what we do, we manufacture, distribute, and sell men's grooming supplies, most made here in shop, but we also source products from other niche artisan brands. As you can see in the front of the showroom, most of this stuff is not made by us. Everything else in the boxes back here is of our own production. And then I'm going to let Steve share with you guys how we got started.
Yeah, so the way the business kind of evolved was pretty unexpected, and really wasn't really even in the cards. It was never the plan to even evolve this into a business. But I was selling cars at Graf here in Durand. I started working there in 2007. That was changing oil and stuff. That's a whole different thing. But when I moved up into the sales position, I needed something to help me look presentable. I'd always had a buzz cut prior to, so getting into the sales role, I wanted to look a little bit more professional. And walking around on a hot blacktop all day, it's kind of difficult to find something that's actually going to work and hold your hair in place, because I'm a real sweaty guy, and I really needed something that would actually like hold up to that. So what I did was, I went home one night and I took all Nicole's pots and pans, made a big old mess, just throwing waxes and then pretty much anything that I possibly could into all of her pots, making sure I wrote down everything that I was doing. And eventually that evolved into our first hair product. I didn't really think anything of it, though. I didn't think it was going to become any sort of business, but I found a group of enthusiasts on Facebook who, it turns out, there's like a bunch of people that are just nuts for pomade around the world, or for hair products in general. I mean, obviously you can find anything on Facebook. There's groups for everything, Instagram, any of those. But and those people, I told them about what I had made, and they were interested in trying out the products. So what we had to do was find the best, at the time, this was 2013, something like that. We had to find somewhere that we could sell these products to them, get these products in their hands and let them try it out. So I made a batch of 24 tins, nothing major whatsoever, and put them on Etsy, and we sold them all out almost instantly. They all sold really quickly. So it was like, there's something to this. We can turn this into something. And we actually, it was a completely different brand. We didn't have there was no Lockhart's branding, none of that stuff. So once it got into people's hands, we decided, okay, let's work more on the branding of the product, something that's marketable, something that we can grow. That's not just going to be some niche, like flash in the pan kind of product. So that's what we did. I was just using free software. It was a software called GIMP 2.0. It's basically like Photoshop. You can use that, and that's what I was using at the time to create all our labels and create the logo, create all the stuff. A lot of the marketing stuff went right through there. So really didn't spend a whole lot of money to get like the Lockhart's look, the logo. I didn't pay anybody to do that. And people really took to it. So, but at the time we didn't really have any sort of product that was like different to anything else on the market. And I knew in order to make this business grow, we needed something that was going to be unique. At the time, with hair pomade in particular, that's what we were doing. That's the only thing that we were doing at the time was hair pomade. There were no products that had a heavy hold with a high shine. In order to do that, you had to essentially cocktail two different products. One that was made for a strong hold, then another one made for a higher shine. I wanted to figure out a way that we could put all that together, and that's how we came up with our Goon Grease product. Goon Grease, you can see on the back of the shop, we've got pretty much we've got a whole line of products with Goon Grease now, and that's just been a total home run for us. We've got markets in Europe that are eating it up, markets here in the States, markets in Australia. We've got barbers all over the world that just love that stuff. So we got there. I apologize if I'm rambling on a little bit. The story's a long one, but so okay, yeah. After I'm sorry. After the new look was developed, after we finally had something that was marketable, we started building up a little bit of a Instagram following, a little bit of Facebook following, that sort of stuff. And more and more people were purchasing our products. And all of a sudden now we have barbershops coming to us. We've got online retailers coming to us, people who sell on Amazon coming to us, people from all over the spectrum wanting to sell our products. That's completely out of my pay grade. I had no idea what I was doing in the wholesale market. I'd always worked sales in the retail market. So fortunately, I collaborated a lot with my barber, Zach Minnock. He's out of Flint, and he helped me with like the margins and that sort of thing. And our first couple of wholesale accounts that we brought on, they were actually really great, and they were patient with us, and they worked with us to create a price list with proper margins that were going to work for them, that we could end up growing. And that's actually been the most revenue we drive through our wholesale side of the business, and it's probably 50-50 split when it comes to profit as far as retail and wholesale, but that's definitely a big driver of our business. I think that's what I'm going to let Nicole.
Well, I'm going to read.
Take over a little bit, yeah.
I was just thinking about what my kids are eating for dinner. Remember all the things I wrote down. While we were learning all of this during our first several months, Steve was still at Graff. I was not working as I was dealing with the worst anxiety and depression I had ever experienced. I was going to therapy and trying to cope through daily anxiety attacks with nothing else really on my radar until nights and weekends weren't enough for Steve to handle the responsibilities of Lockhart. Turns out taking over some of the work was great for helping me find some purpose without having to leave my house. Eventually, I was brewing, packaging, and sending orders and doing all of the customer service. I was regularly conversing with our customers through email and social media, making new friends along the way and learning that I definitely had a knack for whatever it was that I was doing. Not only was it helping Steve, but it was fulfilling. The self-confidence booster I absolutely did not know that I needed in my life. Unfortunately, in that same year, my dad lost his job due to a very rough go with alcoholism, and my mom diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. My family was all hands on deck, trying to pitch in where we could to help my mom and dad get through their respective struggles, enduring some very low lows. For 2 years, we juggled running Lockhart, spending time with my mom, and I even lived with her at times while my dad had to deal with harsh realities of his addiction and its consequences, all while she deteriorated rapidly mentally and physically. To say it was a lot is an understatement. Steve eventually left Graff to pursue Lockhart's full-time. We were missing out on business opportunities without full-time attention on Lockhart, and we needed the flexibility it allowed us to be able to take care of everything happening in our personal lives. Our families were supportive, but cautioned us to be trepidatious with what they saw as a risky move. Steve was good at his job at Graff, but quite frankly, he was better at this. It was a lot of pressure, but we knew it was the right move. In 2015, with both of us working on Lockhart's full-time, both of my parents passed away. My dad committed suicide, and my mom died 3 months later from her cancer. Those of you who've lost parents can understand that there is no way to describe what we went through at that time. What I can say, though, is that Lockhart was a great distraction, support system, and allowed us to grieve without being tied to bereavement timelines. A chapter was closed, though they're passing on. We were able to refocus and regroup. We were able to see how much growth we were experiencing, coming up with sort of a work schedule so we didn't work around the clock, which we did all too often, and even hired some part-time help. We had a really solid 2 years of finding a groove and contentment with what we were accomplishing, making adjustments in our house to make things easier, but it was keeping overhead low and our operating costs were extremely manageable after some very valuable but expensive mistakes were made. In 2017, we had more upheaval when we found ourselves in a custody battle with my 17-year-old sister. Another moment of indescribable anxiety, but thankfully we were awarded guardianship. Now a household of 3, one still a teen in school, it was time to refocus and regroup again. This time we wanted to make some bigger changes, so thanks to Woodworth, we moved into an old insurance office in Perry. It was huge compared to our kitchen, dining room, and living room and gave us room to get creative. Morgan eventually started working for us during school's work study credit, and then after graduation and through her introduction to college. To make it even more of a family affair, in 2018, we found out we were expecting our first child. After that, we hired our first full-time employee. Morgan was still with us, and my cousin Caitlin worked for us for a little while. We've also had the pleasure of employing Missy, which is one of Steve's childhood friends, who worked for us for about a year. And then Trisha and John came on, and most recently Bryn, who is at U of M, who was also one of the students that was at the daycare that I worked with for many years. Each one implementing and leaving behind practices we still use today. We've evolved very naturally, taking advantage of opportunities we thought were good for us and passing up on others that weren't. Had another baby, moved again, worked and home, and survived a pandemic. We've been fortunate to have an endless amount of support from our family, friends, and customers throughout all the stages of our life and business. Some of the people who we consider family now we met through this little world of hair enthusiasts. It has been a perfect storm of life, personal struggle, love, and hard work, and I'm happy to say that we're thriving now more than ever. So after that little get-to-know-you session, I'm going to have Steve kind of take you through the integral parts of what we did throughout the last 8 years as far as our URL, our evolution of domain use, and our marketing.
Yeah, so as far as domains go, as I said earlier, we started, obviously, we started with Etsy because that was the easiest place to just get eyeballs on our brand. Unfortunately, though, if you're working through Etsy exclusively, you're not bringing in any of that data. You're not, all of that data is Etsy's data. So you can't then go out and retarget all the customers that are showing up to your website. So pretty shortly thereafter, we decided we need to take a look and see who's going to be the best domain host for us. At the time, there weren't as many options as there are today. Now there's Shopify, Squarespace, those are the two that we worked with. And I know I made a Wix website one time, but there's boatloads of them. But we started with Squarespace just because at the time that was really the only one that was marketed very heavily that we knew anything about. And pulling up Squarespace, it's actually one of the easiest ones to create a website. Very much so just drag and drop. You don't really need to know any sort of code or anything like that. So we worked with Squarespace for probably 4 or 5 years, and it was great. It's got a lot of really great tools that you can integrate in order to make sure that you're reaching all the customers that are coming to your website. All the traffic that comes to your website, you can capture all that, and then you can retarget those people and try to get them down your marketing funnel, and eventually they're going to purchase something. Hopefully you turn them into a repeat customer and you can continue working with them for years to come. Squarespace, however, as we grew, as Nicole said earlier, a lot of these products we don't actually make, and we actually make about 20 products in-house. And then we've got another probably 30 or so that we bring, well, probably more than that, oh geez. Whole bunch of products. And we also we also sell a lot of merchandise, t-shirts, that sort of thing as well. With a lot of products, Squarespace becomes pretty complicated and a little bit difficult, begins to get messy. So
it wasn't very user-friendly. When you went to the website, it was pretty slow.
Yeah, the website itself was slow because there's just too much data trying to be sourced through the person that's doing the website. So we switched over to Shopify, and Shopify is it's like a hot rod of a platform. It's been great. It's a little bit more difficult, a little bit more work involved, but once you figure it out, it's pretty simple, and it's very well tuned for big inventory levels for sure. And it's also probably my favorite thing about it is there's a whole bunch of different plugins. So if you can think of something that you want your website to do, say you want to customize abandoned cart emails, which I don't know if any of you aren't familiar with those. It's just if somebody goes and puts something in a shopping cart and then they leave the website, you want to try and get back in front of those people to get them to come back to your website. Offer them a discount, offer them something that like an upsell or anything like that. There's different apps that you can use that will time them in a specific manner that's conducive to making sure that they come back to your website and purchase something. There's also, it integrates directly with Facebook advertising. Facebook ads have been huge for us. Facebook ads, Instagram ads, they all run through the same platform. I do a lot of work with that. I've actually got a board back here, which I'd be happy to show anybody that wants to see it. That's pretty much got like my whole game plan on how we do that. There's a lot of A/B testing that goes on. We start off with a real big shotgun approach to get customers just driven to our website. And then we take the data that from those people coming to our website and we start retargeting them. I'm sure you've all have scrolled Facebook and then you see, some website that you've been to 3 days ago. Now you're seeing ads pop up for that over and over and over again. That's what we're doing. We're making sure that the customers that have been to our website, they're seeing what we're selling. So that's one aspect that's been really, really useful for us. We also have a partnership with several, three different Amazon sellers. We've got a partnership with 3 different big Amazon sellers. And we also do some retail selling on Amazon as well. Amazon's kind of it's a tricky one though. I see a Josh's Frog shirt over there. I believe you guys do a lot of Amazon sales, if I'm not mistaken. So you can probably, yeah. So we work with people because we're so focused on the wholesale side of our business and continuing to work with the barbershops and with our retailers that we don't have the time.
Amazon is a full-time job. You have to continue to make sure that you are working on your Amazon account to be able to make sure that people are seeing your listings. If you're not consistently working on it, if you don't have FBA, if you don't have all of these like really important pieces to Amazon, you don't get time in the buy box. And if you don't have time in the buy box, there's a really good chance that people aren't even going to see the listings you have on Amazon. So if you don't have time to put time into your Amazon account, or people like us, where there's other retailers that have all of the kind of stuff, the men's grooming or healthcare or hair care, it's easy for us to outsource that work to people who actually have the money and the time to be able to do that, because we sell far more through Amazon that way and probably all together.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. We've got Amazon sellers that are some of the biggest sellers in the country, just especially in our space. And just the scope at which they operate is massive compared to what we can do. So we partner up with them. We get solid contracts in place saying, you need to purchase X amount every quarter. We make sure that that's all solid. So we know what's coming up every quarter. But yeah, by doing that, we're able to focus more on our website, driving traffic to our website, and continuing our retail sales with the higher margins. We get much higher margins because Amazon's not taking a cut every time. Amazon takes a big cut too. So it became way more profitable to just find these sellers who will sell 10 times as much product that we would sell just organically on Amazon, and just sell them the product and just quarterly have a pallet go their way every quarter. Yeah, and then there's all kinds of advertising tools that you can use there as well. But I mean, we can get into the nitty gritty, and I'd be happy to. That's one of the things that I think would be great if we want to do a Q&A. If anyone's got any questions on the advertising side of business, once you capture things. I mean, any sort of questions you may have. But that kind of explains my techniques that I use. So does anybody have any questions on? Yeah.
Do you go into Google AdWords?
Yes, we do use Google AdWords. I actually don't use as much Google AdWords anymore as I do with Facebook and Instagram, because we do have a pretty young demographic that we work with. But I use the Google AdWords, and I do use Google Analytics heavily. I use Google Analytics to find what's the age group of the people, when are people coming to the website. A few things that actually, as far as that goes, when we're setting up a website, every time I've set up a website, the very first thing that I do is I get my Google Analytics set up on the website, because there are a few different codes that have to be injected into any sort of website you may set up. And I also install the Facebook Pixel. I don't know if anyone's familiar with what the Facebook Pixel is. Looks like you might be. Okay, yeah. So the Facebook Pixel, just to we're all familiar with cookies. Cookies, they're kind of a pain in the butt. But so every time, the Facebook Pixel is essentially a cookie. So whenever somebody comes to the Lockhart's website, Facebook knows pretty much everything about that person. We all know the scope of Facebook. Facebook knows their interests. Facebook knows when they're likely to make a purchase. Facebook knows way more than we do. So the beauty of the Facebook Pixel is you can then take that and you can use that to really hone in your advertisements. Facebook knows this group of people here in this age range, whatever it may be, is more likely to add something to their cart at this specific time. So we're going to show them your advertisement at that time. So the beauty of it is you can actually have a whole system in place where you monitor, what's my cost per click or for traffic, what's my return on ad spend for advertisements that are primarily focused on getting a purchase. You can focus on all those things, and then you can also, within the Facebook platform, you can there's several different things that you can monitor. You can even make it to where you want somebody to come in and fill out a form. There's whatever the ins and outs of it that Facebook's doing, you can pretty much tell it what you want them to do. So I always suggest get the Facebook Pixel set up, number one, when you start a website, and get Google Analytics set up right away. Hope that answered that. Regarding AdWords as well, I mean, you can target similar categories. Is that helpful?
I know AdWords, I don't know Pixel.
The Pixel's great, especially if you're working with a younger demographic is what you're advertising. So our demographics generally 18 to 30, 16 to 30. And so the younger demographic spends a lot of time on Instagram, not as much time on Facebook, but there's a lot of really valuable space on Facebook. Any other questions?
Facebook ads?
Yes.
How do you have your audience? You set up an audience, or you let Facebook do it?
I've tried it both ways. It's one of those things that I A/B. Again, I'd love to show you what I got in the back I've got a board in the back. So I spend most of my time back there making hair product. That's pretty much what I do. So I put up some whiteboards right next to me. Whenever I have an idea or something, I hop over to the board and I write it down. And right now I've got these big maps essentially where it shows how basically when I start, I kind of go with a shotgun approach where it's just let Facebook figure out who's going to be interested in my stuff. Maybe I'll do, because of our products is made for men, I'll say aim it at men. Maybe I'll type in the demographic, age group, but that's pretty much it. So I'll start there and I'll do an A/B test. See how much it's costing me just to drive traffic, and then I'll start retargeting those people that are coming to our website from that big shotgun approach. And then of course there's, try to get them to add to cart, and then after they add to cart, you're going to send them that abandoned cart email, and you're doing everything that you possibly can to try and get them to come back and just click that purchase button. Hopefully sign up for your email list. That's another big thing that I didn't really touch on. We use a service called Mailchimp. Mailchimp's a great service for setting up email lists. We get huge returns we've got about 10,000 people that we send emails out to pretty frequently, and we get really big returns off of that. There's also SMS marketing that we use as well. That's another one of the things. Text messages. So.
And we don't get a ton of shops, to be honest. Thought we would, but we don't.
Yeah, people unsubscribing. Of course they're going to, and we do have several different categories that we send out. So Mailchimp, you can actually narrow it down to different. So like say a person purchased a certain product, you can put them in a certain category, and if you're running a sale on that, maybe you send it out to them, something like that. Another thing that we do with emails is 30 days out from an order, we know that somebody's going to pretty much be at the point where they've gone through their jar of product. So about 30 days after an order, we'll be sending them an email saying, hey, we know you're probably running low on product, time to re-up, and then we also start advertising to them as well. Facebook, and you can do that just using the data collected on your website. You can create audiences. That's kind of what you're getting at when you get real specific. So that's at the bottom of my board back there, where you're going to start creating audiences of people who have already bought from you, and then you're sending a different message to those kind of people than you are to the shotgun approach.
Why don't you touch on social media and why it's important to be active in places like Facebook and Instagram? Because I know that I'm a broken record in meetings about this topic.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When it comes to Facebook and Instagram, Instagram's the one that I focus the most on, just because our products are very visual, and then showing what customers look like using it, or what barbers are able to craft using our products. It's very visual. But I do think social media in general is a great way to advertise for cheap. It used to be a lot cheaper. So it used to be everybody would see pretty much anything that you posted, and now the algorithm's so convoluted that there's a lot of pay to play now. You have to do what's called boosting posts, and I'm not as much of a fan of that, but I mean, you have to do it. But in order to get your message in front of people, I find it really important to at least post something with some substance, at least every day on Instagram, Facebook. You can pull over something from Instagram. It will pull right over into Facebook. I also think it's very important knowing the Instagram algorithm, the way that it's changed. They're now really heavily favoring people that use their Reels, which is kind of like their TikTok. They're really heavily favoring, so they'll show your Reels to a lot of people. If you're using their Reels, they're more likely to show your posts to people, to your followers. Same thing goes with stories. You got to make sure that there's substantive. It can't just be just random stories that don't really say anything. But it needs to catch your audience's attention. They need to interact with it. That's another thing that's really important. So there's ways to do a Q&A session through your stories. That's something that we do from time to time. Show videos, do polls, that sort of stuff. Whenever somebody actually interacts with it, it's more like Instagram's more likely to re-show that show that person stuff that you post in the future. Obviously, the more times that they can see what you're doing, the more likely they are to, catch. Say you're running a sale on something that they're interested or whatever. They might not see it if they're not interacting with your brand. So even follow up and interacting with people on your social media posts is incredibly important.
It's important not to get admin on it.
Exactly.
Because I've seen our analytics just drop, and then I post something and people are like, "Who are you?"
Exactly.
That's probably like the most important thing. I noticed a huge bump. If I post a reel, it's crazy.
It's viewed by a ton of people. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's something that we noticed. It was like when they rolled out Reels, they're just like, we're going to focus exclusively on this for a little while, especially. And yeah, you post anything on Reels and it's going to get thousands and thousands of views as opposed to stories or posts.
Instagram came out and flat out said for businesses to post on Reels.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting that they just were like, this is what you got to do.
Got to.
And
at least they're giving you a little bit of the game plan there.
video is so important.
Yep.
I found that video gets also bigger boosts and more comments and more likes, and a lot of people aren't even watching video with sound.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. No, that's true. It's more interactive, and it also, a nice thing about social media and doing like a behind the scenes video or something like that, you're approachable. And I mean, maybe someone here is trying to, create the next Amazon or something, but even Amazon tries to be approachable now with their advertisements that they're doing, showing the people in their warehouses, that they've sent to college and all that stuff. They want to appear as approachable. And that's one of the things that we do. We try to we're normal people. We're not
trying to appear approachable. We are approachable.
Yeah,
Very normal.
We're approachable people, and we try to convey that through our messaging on social media, and that's been a big thing. And some days I'll just walk around with my phone in my face, just watching what I'm doing, talking to it, whatever, and just save all that stuff, and you can compile it all and throw it on Reels.
People love this or that post. Which one do you like? The green label or the red label? Totally irrelevant. It
Yep.
might even be a true thing.
Oh yeah, they totally do.
Just click, and then next post, we're gonna see it.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, especially over Halloween too. This movie or that movie. This, this costume or this costume. There was a lot of that. Yeah. Oh well, yeah, and coming up to Black Friday, if you're that's one of the things that I always make sure coming up to Black Friday, do I have my Facebook pixel? Is it operating properly? Are my Google Analytics operating properly? Is everything where I'm trying to pull in data, is it operating properly? Because that's when you're going to get the biggest rush of traffic to your website. And so now you're say you get 10 times the amount of traffic that you normally get on a regular day, you can retarget all those people. You can start going back after those people. So it's not just Black Friday is a huge day to make a lot of sales, Cyber Monday, all that stuff. We run all kinds of deals and specials and sort of stuff like that, and it's always huge for us. But the biggest thing is collecting that data and collecting those customers' information and retargeting them. And then we see every year we start growing. We grow 10% year over year, every year at least on our retail side, just because we're able to get so much more traffic, and we're
Find that the text messaging or like kind of like
we're
still used to it. Used to it.
So we do get a response. I do notice when we send out a text message blast. So I've got a wholesale side of my text message blast, and I've got a retail side. My wholesale side's a little more active. I've noticed that if I send out a wholesale email saying, we're going to run this sort of special, or here's the new product that we're launching, I'm more likely to get traffic to the website. That's actually another plugin, which I'll come back to that. That's really great. But the retail, I get more out of our email list, but that's also significantly bigger than our SMS list. We do it does seem kind of like we get faster response out of the text list. The email list, we will continue to get orders for a longer period of time.
I noticed that with email lists, if you say flash sale, people, because of when they start seeing your email. I noticed a lot more people are not as responsive to their emails as what they are to the text. I think
Really?
people with the text message, they see it and they're like, oh my gosh, so this whole shop's running a sale. And they'll go up.
Yeah.
And I mean, because our email list is our bread and butter too.
Yeah.
Because I own that. You know, I don't own Facebook, I don't own Instagram, I own my email list,
Yep.
which is huge.
Yep.
And I've noticed that I've been kind of playing with text messaging a little bit, but I feel icky about it.
I mean, you're gonna upset people. That's it's like that. To make an omelet, you got to break a couple eggs, kind of thing.
Well, and we're still growing our SMS.
Yeah, that's
Heavily.
we actually just brought that in this year, so that is something that we're still
Which one do you guys use?
simple texting. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's not cheap, but it's not. It charges us per message that we send out. There's like a base rate. After you send X amount out, then they'll start charging you a little bit extra. So I'm a fan of it. I like simple texting, mostly because the wholesale business that it drives for us, that makes up for it instantly. And like I was saying regarding the wholesale, there's a wholesale app that we use that's a plugin into our website that I was talking about plugins earlier. That's one of my favorite plugins that Shopify offers. It's a plugin called Wholesale Gorilla, and it allows you to go through and tag certain products that you want your wholesale customers to be able to purchase wholesale from you. So you're actually able to control all of your inventory, all of your everything's all done through one website. Where before we either had to have two websites or we had to have a locked section of our website on Squarespace where a wholesale customer could go in through there. That's a pain in the butt. So now it's just, if you log in and you're tagged with a specific wholesale tag, you will see the products that we offer for wholesale at wholesale pricing. That's definitely one of my favorite apps or plugins that we work with.
Do you have your Shopify site customizable, or did you do one of the paid plugins? Or not plugins, paid templates?
We use one of the paid templates. I don't recall which one it is, but I could get back with you on that.
Yeah, that's how it's on Squarespace. And I actually love Squarespace, but it is slow.
Yeah.
We didn't not like Squarespace, but Shopify offered a lot of things that we needed that Squarespace didn't offer. And I really liked the back end of Squarespace. It was really simple. It was easy for me to navigate. I'm not great on a computer, but I was able to achieve everything that I needed to achieve when helping the customer. Shopify, not so much. I'm still learning it, but I can tell that the upside to Shopify, specifically in shipping, is worth the cost of switching over. Because before, when we were using Squarespace, we weren't getting the discounts for UPS and FedEx, and now we are.
Using shipping?
Yes.
They changed that.
Do they offer DHL now?
I believe they do. I can ship, fully off topic, I'm sorry, $8 UPS.
Yeah,
That's what we're getting from Shopify.
We're getting much lower rates with UPS. We're shipping out a lot more with UPS. This happened like, yeah. No,
It's also more reliable, though. When I'm shipping through USPS, I'm having nothing but issues now, where I really didn't in the past, but now with the issues in the chain.
A lot of issues. Yeah.
And now that our sorting facility isn't Lansing anymore, everything's going through Durant or Detroit and Pontiac. It's so slow, and we're getting nothing but complaints.
DHL.
I love those emails.
Yeah.
And Shopify is also, because it's so much faster, the SEO, the search engine optimization, is much better. We've gotten significantly more traffic just by turning off the Squarespace site and turning on the Shopify site. Instantly, we're getting more traffic. We're ranking much higher in Google. That's another big thing. If you guys aren't familiar with search engine optimization, it's really important to make sure that your website is fast. Make sure that you don't have any huge images blowing anything out, huge videos blowing anything out, making people, because you're going to see bounce rates where people are coming to your website. It's not loading. If it doesn't load within a second and a half, 2 seconds, they're gone. You just lost a customer. They're going to go find somebody else. They can go to Amazon. You can find anything on Amazon, and that's fast. That's the best website in the world. Like, let's be honest here. I hope somebody in this room creates the next Amazon. That'd be really cool. Yeah.
This question is about when you're targeting your audience. Are you getting more, let's say, return on time invested for the funneling of sales if you go direct or through resellers?
You're saying resellers with.
I'm saying what if you're going through, the barber shops, or you're going through Amazon, are you getting more customers coming to you and making purchases based on the time that you're investing if you're doing the direct text or having the salons do it for you?
So it kind of works in tandem. Barbershops, the salons, all of those, that essentially gives us more exposure and legitimizes our brand as well. So when people see our products in the salons, the barbershops, they recognize the Lockhart's logo, they see Lockhart's there, then they're probably more likely to get it, especially if a professional's recommending it. And now we see a lot of people coming back to us and saying, hey, I bought something from my barber. I see that you're selling something that he doesn't carry. Either that's going to lend them to purchase from us via retail, or they're going to reach out to their barber, or the barber. I reach out to the barber and say, hey, you've got a customer who's interested in this, and then we'll start selling them that as well. So it's beneficial. Though, I scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of thing.
And we have higher margins when we sell it directly to the customer. So what we do when we sell something from here is just as important to us as far as the bottom line as doing something through a reseller or distributor.
On your Amazon shipments, 100% of that would be FBA, where you're sending pallets to Amazon?
We're actually sending, I'm sorry.
Well, I guess there's a couple of questions related to that. So are you sending pallets to Amazon and they fulfill those orders? Or do you ship directly from here to the Amazon customer?
So the way that we do it is we have the resellers that work on Amazon, professionals that do the Amazon. We ship them pallets to their warehouse. Then they make sure everything's correct, and then they'll ship it out to an FBA warehouse, fulfilled by Amazon for anyone that doesn't know. They'll ship it to an FBA. Now we do have listings on Amazon. That way that we can run certain ads to drive traffic, because we do spend money to drive traffic to our listings to assist us, but it also assists our sellers, and they've grown tremendously by doing that. Without an Amazon account, you can't do that. So we don't ship to FBA. Everything that we do here is fulfilled by seller. Yep.
You do a great job of marketing the Lockhart brand, but do you co-pack or has anybody approached you about co-packing for their brand?
We've done a little bit of that. For a little bit, we did that for Darker Manufacturing out of Owasso, where we were handling a lot of their online sales. And like Nicole said earlier, we do wholesale purchase products and then resell them through our website as well. But no, we haven't done any sort of co-packing.
We've done some white label stuff too in the past, where we create products for other brands and then they get to put their label on it. But that really, it for the amount of time and effort and research and development that takes, it really doesn't make sense for us, because it's taking time away from the production where we have the higher margins.
We do have a program in place for barbers that are working with us. If they want, if it's Joe Schmo's barbershop wants a product with Joe Schmo's logo on it, we can, we've got enough formulas. Which one's your favorite? Oh, I like the anti-gravity paste. Okay, I'll slap, Joe Schmo's logo on it, Joe Schmo's X Lockhart's collaboration. We can create them a custom fragrance. That's something that we do a lot of. Those are just different services that we do offer, to kind of make it a little bit more.
It's more lucrative for us if we can collab and put our name on it too. Then we're garnering attention for both brands. And then that works out when somebody's searching either our or their brand, and then they both get brought up at the same time.
That's actually another thing. That's a good point that she just made. In regards to SEO, you see all these essentially competition to our brand that we sell on our website. But what it actually helps us tremendously by selling all these different brands that we're working with. It helps us with our search engine optimization. So maybe someone's not searching for Lockhart's, maybe they're searching for one of our competitors. Well, we also carry that competitor's product in our shop. That competitor is only getting the amount of traffic that they're getting for themselves. We're getting traffic for Lockhart's, for this brand, for that brand, all the different brands that we're working with. So we actually rank higher than some of the brands that we team up with, and we're pulling that traffic in our website. It's the way that we've always looked at it is our market is pretty niche. The handmade hair product market, it's not huge. It is actually expanding pretty significantly. We, especially in Europe, we're overtaking huge territories over there. We've got distributors over there that are just kicking butt. They got salespeople on the ground, but lost my train of thought. Sorry about that.
Well, and I think going back to what she asked, barbers in other countries has been huge for us.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to pay shipping to order it directly from us when they can go to a barber in their town and get it and not have to pay that shipping. So that's where working with barbers has been super amazing and helping us grow.
It's great for us on social media too, because especially in Europe, barbering is such a culture there. So a lot of them have a lot of time invested into making videos and doing a lot for their social media to bolster their business. So it just in turn helps us at the same time, because then we can repost everything that they do, and it just makes our relationship stronger.
Coming back to Shopify a little bit, working with our European partners that we're working with. So once the brand starts expanding outside of the United States, a cool thing that we found that we can do on Shopify, we can actually clone our website, and then we can actually have an on-ground presence in Europe via our distributor that we have over in Europe. We can create Lockhart's.pl for Poland or Lockhart's whatever for Germany and all the different locations over there, and get it translated into those different languages. Now we did partner up with a distribution team that's over there, and they're the ones handling all of it. So that's obviously not, from the ground floor. That's not the first thing you do when you set up an e-commerce business, but that's just through, we never reached out to them. None of that ever happened. It was all pretty organic that they managed to follow us one day, and they saw that we had strong sales within the United States. They saw that we had a ton of traffic that was going through our website. They noticed that there's big opportunity, and that's when this distribution team reached out to us, and we were already looking for a team in Europe because we did have lots of interest in small barbershops and stuff. And once this distribution team reached out to us and we got that set up, now there's boots on the ground going into barbershops every day, going into big retailers. There's big retailers there just like there are here in the States, and it's expanded our business twofold at least. So it's one of those things that has just the organic side of business by being present on social media garnered that attention, and now we've grown pretty significantly, and we now have the tools where we can just go in, grab a code, boom, we got a Poland website now. We're nuts. Start selling there too. Yeah.
That's a bummer question, but internet taxes.
Yeah.
I know government every once in a while starts bringing up having a tax on all internet sales. Being in that group,
There's a
how that's
threshold.
affecting you and what that's doing.
So there is a specific threshold that you have to reach where once you're doing X amount of business in a certain state, you have to be set up with that state to give back sales tax. I don't remember what the number is off the top of my head. I'd have to get with my accountant on that. So each state's different. I would just, that's one of the things that I wouldn't be the professional that I would reach out to an accountant on that. I know that we haven't reached the threshold, and we do quite a bit of business throughout the country. So it's a pretty high number.
We can also throw out those internet sales have skyrocketed. government's gonna have to get the tax.
Yep.
If they're not making sales taxes locally, they're gonna have to reach out some way to do it. Working with counties in the past in different states, I know that they're working on, every state and every county has a different way of doing it. The county that I work with literally talked about targeting your business where you were located, and every sale you made was then considered that county sale, that state sale. So, I mean,
It's gonna become
it's going
convoluted.
to happen, so it's just going to be very poor. When they figure out how we're gonna do it, this will go with it.
It's ever evolving.
Yeah.
It kind of seems like it has been that way for some time. And there's always been rumblings of, you know, they're gonna start, it's gonna be, if you sell on the internet, there's gonna be just some sort of sales tax. That's, yeah, not exactly sure what the future holds for that, but it's coming. That's what accountants are for, you know, get them on speed dial. They're lifesavers for sure. So, yeah, if I could give another good piece of advice, get a good CPA. Anything else? Ready? Anything that we missed? Any sort of integral? I think that about wraps it up. I mean, if there's anything that you guys wanted to finish with, that we could do that.
Hey, Steve, Nicole, Tricia, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for hosting.
Yeah, of
Tonight
course.
just was fantastic. And on behalf of the Chamber and the SCDP, we'll be back in the new year with announcements for our next e-commerce series. Thank you. Have a great
Cool.
night.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Take a cupcake on your way out.
Yeah, and like I did say earlier, if anybody wants to come back and take a look at the board that I've
Or
got.
have a tour.
Yeah, and you can take a picture of it, use it, whatever you want to do. That's fine with me. It's not a company secret. I share it with a lot of people, so.
That sounds proprietary, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just don't take pictures of the fridge.
Yeah, don't do, no fridge pictures.
Yeah.
No, we're of the idea that, you know, a rising tide raises all ships. So even with our competitors, whenever somebody's working with them, it seems to garner more attention to us as well. So we actually do a lot of collaborating too. You can see on the walls there, all the tarot images and stuff. That's just a handful of some of the collaborations we've done. We've done hair products with different brands, and that's kind of the way that we tell their story. But lots of that.